Welcome back to lesson 6.2, covered under the module 6 of the relevance of Indian knowledge system in the modern world. Now, going back just to highlight what we had talked about in lesson 6.1. Now, 6.1 had talked about environment, wisdom, and sustainable practices. So now, when we talked about the environment, we talked about a holistic way of looking at everything, looking at the ecology, looking at sustainable ways to conserve the soil, to conserve water, which is very, very important for the sustenance of human beings. So, conserving the soil, we saw that organic farming was very, very good, and we are reverting back to the practice because all the natural resources are reused and refurbished for the betterment of the crop. And we also talked about crop rotation, we talked about mixed cropping. So, that enables the fertility of the soil to maintain its balance. We cannot exhaust every resource that surrounds us because it has to continue to replenish us. We also talked about water sustainability and how water can be conserved and utilized in times of need. So, in ancient times, also, people did think logically, people did want to live holistically, so they developed these step wells. They developed irrigation tanks. Now these step wells and irrigation tanks, they were there for the community at large. It was not an individualistic approach, but for the community. So everything that happened in ancient times talked about encompassing everything. It was not about one separate community or just one separate society. Whatever the resource was there, it was for the common man to use. So, in lesson 6.2, we are going to talk about holistic health systems, Ayurveda and yoga. Ayurveda and yoga, we have been talking about in the previous modules also. We have seen how important Ayurveda or medicine was then, as since that was the only medicinal aid that people had then. There was no allopathy system because there was less of research. Whatever was naturally available in the form of medicinal plants was used, and along with the minerals that they were there. And yoga, because that was the nearest to staying healthy. So, yoga also and Ayurveda also taught you how to live healthy as a holistic being, not only looking at one aspect. So, it was a concoction of the entire mind, the body, the spirit, everything put together. Let's begin with lesson 6.2, where we talk about holistic health systems, Ayurveda, and yoga. Holistic health is an approach to well being that considers the whole person: physical, mental, emotional, social, intellectual, and spiritual aspects. So, we have been talking about holistic, and holistic everywhere has talked about your body being well, your mind being well, your heart being well, the surrounding where you live in well, and then intellectual and spiritual, that you are able to grow in all fields and do well in all fields. So that creates a harmonious balance in our being, in our identity, rather than just focusing on symptoms or isolated illnesses. So it's not only the bad that we keep talking about, it is the good also that is brought about with the balance that we need to fulfill. It recognizes that these different dimensions are interconnected and influence each other, and that true health arises from a state of balance and harmony across all of them. Ayurveda and yoga, originating from ancient India, are profound and synergistic systems that embody the principles of holistic health. They are often referred to as sister sciences because of their shared philosophical roots and complementary approaches to achieving optimal well being. So, now also, if you think about when you go to a doctor for any treatment of any illness, That doctor does begin by asking you, what do you eat? How do you carry on your life? Whether you walk, whether you exercise. So it is basically a two-wheel cycle, the Ayurveda and the yoga. If you need any treatment, then the exercise part of it has to be of vital importance in it. So the medicine, along with a healthier way of living, was the approach then, and that is the approach what we look at furthermore. Ayurveda, the science of life. Ayurveda, meaning the science of life, is one of the world's oldest holistic healing systems, developed over 5,000 years ago. Now, that is a very long time, and had it not been recorded properly in the manuscripts or the texts or the testimonies that we have, it would not have been passed on effectively. Its core principle is that health is a delicate balance between the mind, body, and spirit, and that disease arises from imbalances in these areas. So we know that an imbalance of any enzyme in our body does really cause a disease or release of any disease in our body. Basically, Ayurveda talked about the balancing of the enzyme system that is in us. Now, the key principles of Ayurveda. The very first is Pancha Mahabhuta, five great elements. Ayurveda believes that the entire universe, including our bodies, is composed of five fundamental elements. Now, what are those five fundamental elements? They are the Akasha, the space or the ether, the emptiness, and the subtlety that it brings about, that everything belongs to one large sky, one large universe. Vayu, that is air, the air that we breathe, that is so very important for us to continue to live. Movement, dryness, and lightness. Agni, fire, that is there as a common aspect in so many of our everyday life. Were it not to be for fire, we would not have been cooking so effectively. So it's transformation, metabolism, and heat. Jala, water. We've talked about it at large of how to use it, of how to sustain it, of how not to waste it, how not to overconsume it. Cohesion, liquidity, and coolness. Prithvi or earth, solidity, structure, and stability. Had it not been for the earth, where would we be growing our crops? We could not possibly grow them in air. There are so many plants that they say are air based. But can you grow wheat in air? No, you cannot. Can you grow rice in air? No, you cannot. Can you plant a tree in the air? You cannot. Everything needs the earth. Now, talking about the three doshas, the three biological energies, natural energies when we say biological energies. These five elements combine in unique ways to form three fundamental biological energies or the doshas present in every individual. Each person has a unique combination of these doshas known as the prakriti or the constitution, how we are made, how we are developed, which influences their physical and mental characteristics. The very first is Vata, which is air and the space that we live in. Governs all movement in the body, including circulation, breathing, nervous system impulses, and elimination. So, if you think about it, it's just a cyclic process associated with creativity, enthusiasm, but also anxiety and restlessness when imbalanced. So people feel asphyxiated or they feel suffocated when the air is not good. There is so much of environmental pollution. There's so much of global warming in places like Delhi. When we celebrate Diwali, there's so much of smog that develops that people start to have breathing disorders. So the vata is very, very important. We need to be mindful for it to be clean. For whom? For us. Then we have pitta, fire and water. Governs metabolism, digestion, transformation, and body temperature. Associated with intelligence, ambition, but also anger and inflammation when imbalanced. So, whenever we have any physical kind of a problem, we become anxious because we are not at rest. Some places things get inflamed also, again because of the imbalance. So, fire and water play a very vital role in a person's existence. Then we have kapha, earth and water. So here also you will see that there's so much of interconnectedness in these. Governs structure, lubrication, immunity and growth. Associated with stability, compassion, but also lethargy and congestion when imbalanced. Agni, the digestive fire. A crucial concept in Ayurveda, Agni refers to the metabolic fire responsible for digestion, absorption, and assimilation of food, as well as the transformation of thoughts and emotions. A strong Agni is considered essential for good health. Now, the dhatus, the seven tissues. Ayurveda identifies seven fundamental tissues that make up the body. So the very first is the rasa, the lymph or the plasma. Now we do understand that the lymph and the plasma have such an important role in the biological factors that contribute to our body. The imbalance of either can cause havoc. Then we have rakta or the blood, that is the life that is there in our system. Mamsa, the muscle. Meda, the fat. Asthi, the bone, maja, bone marrow or the nervous tissues, and shukra, the reproductive tissue. So, when we talk about all these seven tissues, we know that a human body is not possible without the presence of or imbalance of any one of them. When we get our blood reports done, we do see the words hemoglobin, which is associated with blood. We do see the lymph count, we do see the plasma count, so that if it is in an imbalance, we do need treatment then. Then we have the malas or the waste products. The proper elimination of waste products, example feces, urine, sweat, is vital for health. We know that the imbalance of any causes so much of disturbance in our everyday living. Now, the Ayurvedic approach to health. Ayurveda focuses on prevention and individualized treatment. It utilizes a range of therapies to restore balance and promote healing, including dietary recommendation. So, that is the foremost that we need to be careful about. Tailored to an individual's dosha, season, and imbalances. Now, every individual is made differently, distinctly. We live in different regions, we live in different seasons, and imbalance in our dietary patterns can cause a lot of turbulence in a healthy way of living. Lifestyle adjustments, daily routines, dinacharya, and seasonal routines, ritucharya, for optimal health. Now, dinacharya is what you do on an everyday basis. Ritucharya is seasonally how we change our patterns. Herbal remedies, using medicinal plants to address specific conditions and promote balance. So, again, herbal remedies have been there from times immemorial. The Panchkarma, a series of detoxification and rejuvenation therapies. Example, therapeutic massage, oil treatments, enemas, nasal administration to cleanse the body of accumulated toxins or the ama. Now, talking about yoga, union of mind, body, and spirit. Now, when yoga is conducted, your mind has to be alert, your body has to be in sync, and your spirit has to be in sync with your mind and body. Any person who is not spiritually at rest cannot have a healthy mind, cannot have a healthy body. Yoga, meaning union, is an ancient spiritual and physical discipline that aims to harmonize the mind, body, and spirit. While often perceived in the West as primarily a physical exercise, traditionally yoga is a much broader practice with deep philosophical roots, which has sufficient truth, which has sufficient logic, which has a sufficient belief system. Key components of yoga. We have the asanas or the physical postures, a series of poses designed to strengthen and increase flexibility in the body, improve circulation, and stimulate organ function. Now, a lethargic body cannot have a balance. So, we need to have sufficient exercise to keep our system going. Pranayam, the breath control. Breathing exercises that regulate the flow of prana or the vital life force energy in the body, calming the nervous system and enhancing mental clarity. Meditation or the dhyana practices to train the mind to achieve a state of relaxed awareness, consciousness, promoting mental peace, reducing stress, and fostering self awareness. Mudra or the hand gestures, and bandhas the energy locks, techniques to direct and conserve energy within the body. Shatkarma cleansing technique, traditional purification practices, example Niti for nasal cleansing, Dhoti for digestive tract cleansing, Yama and Niyama, ethical guidelines. So when we talk about mind, body, and then the spirit, so the spirit needs ethical guidelines, moral and ethical principles that guide one's conduct towards others and oneself, fostering inner peace and a more compassionate approach to life. Now you can take a look at beginner yoga poses. So these are basically certain yoga poses. So the very first is the mountain pose, very easy. The plank may not be very easy for some of us. The easy seat, quite easy. The herd, the downward facing dog. Then you have the low lunge. Then you have the high lunge, the warrior one phase, the warrior two pose, half standing fold, the triangle, the tree, the baby cobra, the locust, the chair, the cat, the cow, the half seated twist, the child, and then the corpse. So, if you see, the corpse is basically a resting pose, which is good for the mind, the body, as well as the spirit. The benefits of yoga for holistic health. Physical benefits: increased flexibility, strength, balance, improved posture, better circulation, boosted immunity, pain relief, especially for back pain and arthritis, improved digestion, and enhanced cardiovascular health. Mental: reduced stress and anxiety, improved concentration, mental clarity, enhanced memory, and better sleep quality. Emotional: greater emotional resilience, mood regulation, increased self awareness, and a sense of calmness. Spiritual: fosters a deeper connection to oneself, a sense of purpose, and inner peace. That comes to an end with lesson 6.2. So, here we did see how Ayurveda and yoga together as a driving force, how beneficial are they for us to have a healthier well being, healthier individual. Because if our mind, our body, and our spirit are not at rest, we cannot continue to live well. So I hope this takes you back to your roots into integrating Ayurveda and yoga into your everyday life. Thank you.